Welcome to The Tea with Martha, where we spill the tea on the untold truths and real struggles of entrepreneurship. I'm Martha Pachow, a fellow business owner who's learned the ins and outs of business the hard way. Get ready for unfiltered discussions on the highs, lows, and messy realities of entrepreneurship. It's time to spill the tea and vent it out with us.
Good morning and welcome to The Tea, Jennifer. I am so excited to welcome you. And I'm sure it's going to be just amazing. Like we just record. I wanted to hit record right before this because we just had an amazing, just heartfelt conversation. But Jennifer, welcome to The Tea and tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are. I know you're in Kansas City, but take it away.
First of all, thank you so much for having me on. I fell in love with you the first time I met you. You're just so, you're a safe space for people to just become very vulnerable. And when we sat around our mastermind table and you were just sharing something very personal and dear on your heart, it immediately made me think, I just want to lock arms with you and run with you. And, So I'm Jennifer Barner and I've been in real estate for the last 9 years. And it came at a time in my life when I had been praying that God would not send me back into the workplace when my kids were getting ready to approach college. And I knew we didn't have enough money. God, though, I always thought I was going to be in corporate America, but God had other plans for me. And so after I had to have 2 children, we were relocated and the Lord said, I want you to stay at home and raise your beautiful children. And I thought, wow, Lord, I never anticipated being a stay-at-home mom. You know, I was always supposed to blaze a path and create financial freedom for our families, but God had a different plan for us. And fast forward 16 years, somebody introduced me to the Rich Dad program. And it was a game changer for me and a game changer for our family. So as hard as it was to accept being a stay-at-home mom, I always knew it was a blessing.
Yes.
And it was going to shape me into the person I am today. And now that, that very first transaction, so anybody that's just getting into real estate and you think, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to do this? I've lost my identity. I've lost my self-worth and confidence as a woman and as a just adding value. I felt that I lost who I was as a person, being a stay-at-home mom. Even though I knew it was the greatest gift, I didn't have confidence in me any longer. So as an investor, I don't have my real estate license, but that program taught me to go out and buy my first property. And when I did, thankfully, my family and my husband being my biggest cheerleader was standing behind me saying, I'm not going to help you, but I know you can do this. And I need you to believe in yourself.
What a gift.
And that was a gift. And even my kids, I'll never forget when my daughter walked in and I had sweaty hands and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to sign these documents. And is this the right thing? And she's like, Mom, we believe in you. You got this. And I just thought, wow, here's my 16-year-old daughter encouraging me and believing in me, but yet I doubt myself. And taking that first step was a life-changing moment for me, a huge milestone. And from there, I've now flipped 45 homes. I now am a general partner in 10 large multifamily assets that are 70 to 300 units each. And I'm now speaking on the stage of my mentor. So God has really sped up time and he's made up for the time that I spent raising our children. So we have 4 children. And so when we talk about different seasons and people think, oh, they got to give it all up. I think you can have it all. You're just going to have it all. And it's going to be in different seasons along your journey in life.
I love this so much. I mean, and hello, this is why I wanted to have you on, Jen, because when we met, it was, I think I know without a shadow of a doubt, these divine appointments, right? We get into these groups and there's amazing women, and it was just lovely that God had put us in this table where I'm sharing I'm sharing this really hard situation that I'm going through in my real estate business. And lo and behold, there's Jennifer. I'm like, oh my goodness, she gets me, and your heart is it's so lovely. And God really just put this gift in you of that wisdom and knowing, it was like, to me, it's like such a divine appointment. And just hearing you in your journey as a mother and a nurturer and a builder, the builder of the biggest empire is our legacy, is our family, is our children, is our home. And how God has accelerated the years that maybe you thought you didn't, not lost, but just that you weren't doing anything else. And what a gift it is, and what a testament of how seasons matter in our life, and really laying that foundation. I think I'm entering in this different season of life as well, and navigating the new and out of survival mode, and older children, and preparing for college. My oldest is going to be a senior this coming year. And we have all these things happening now at the end of junior year, that it's like the escalation. It's a whole thing in his school. And so preparing for that, and just listening to you, for women like me, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners, it's a gift to know that the seasons matter, that to own that, because we don't know what's next, but it's laying a foundation. I just think of what you've built. I mean, goodness gracious, that takes courage, right? To sign your name on documents and put your money, your hard-earned money, into something that at the time maybe felt really scary. So let's dive into that. Can you spill the tea? Tell us, what was maybe the biggest deciding factor from going from the first investment into now scaling this, whether that be in partnerships, if you were, I don't know, did you start as an LP, a limited partner, and then worked your way up? How is that process? Because that's a big leap of faith. That's a big jump.
Well, I remember when I met my mentor in the multifamily space. I had been in single family for a solid year, and I had done 11 transactions. And some of those properties I kept for myself and started building a single family portfolio. But at the end of the year, I realized at my age, I have 4 kids that I need to put through college. I've got to speed this ship up. And I'll never forget when I left Home Depot that first year, and it was my last transaction in single families for that year. I remember somebody saying, "Bye, Jen, we'll see you tomorrow." And I thought, okay, I remember the Cheers, the series on TV, Cheers, where everybody knows your name. But Home Depot shouldn't know my name. I was working too much in my business and not on my business. And so that was a pivotal moment that I remember leaving there going, I've got to change some things. If I want to get to where I need to be, I've got to hire somebody in a different space. And so I just started listening to all these different podcasts, and it really became very clear to me that multifamily apartment buildings took a team. You don't do it alone, but you can get to where you're going faster. So I hired a mentor in that space. And the very first time I met with him, after I had signed up for his coaching program, he said, "What is the biggest hurdle for you?" And I said, "It's my age." And he said, "Jennifer, you got to throw that out, because I'm at least 10 years older than you are today." And it reminded me that we all have some kind of hiccup, but my hiccup wasn't his hiccup, because he's got this massive coaching program and he's done exceedingly well, but he had only been he'd only been doing that a couple years when I met him. And I realized we have our own hurdles. And if we can just overcome that, then the sky's the limit. And so once I got past the fact that, hey, here's this guy, 10 years older than I am, and he's only been doing his thing for 2 years, and look how big he is. And I've already witnessed what God's done in my life. I know I can do this.
Yes.
So,
I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So I got over that really quick. Now, I will tell you this. I didn't get my first multifamily property for 3 years. So even though I had hired him, I spent the next year and a half underwriting deal after deal after deal, to the tune of 250 deals. Never
Wow.
got anything under contract. And it was at that time I went back to my mentor and I said, I don't know anybody that can work for free. And that's all I've done for the last year and a half. I've been just underwriting deal after deal. And at the end of the day, he said, go back to doing what you were doing until you find your property. So I went back, and that's the year that I did 28 flips. I had another business partner, but yeah, that was preparing
Just
me.
28. Just in the back burner. I was doing 28 flips, guys. That's
Like I said, when you have God as your business partner, and when you have the why that drives you to get up every day, and you start seeing the changes that are happening internally, and that you're becoming a better person for your family, for your spouse, for your community, it just is fuel for you.
Yeah.
And it really just gave me what I needed. And now I realize, as hard as the season as that was, because I got to the end of that year and I realized I'm killing myself. I'm burning both ends of my life doing this. And I went to my business partner. I said, I can't do this anymore. This is just taking everything, because he went back to work and I still continue to do this. It's amazing how God opens doors, though, because I shut that door and I thought, well, I don't know what's next, but I went back to listening to podcasts, and that's why these podcasts are so powerful, because there can be one nugget that changes your trajectory, and that's exactly what happened. I heard other people saying how their market wasn't working out for them, so they went to a different market. And that's exactly what I did when I was moving my children, or one of them anyway, down to their fraternity house. I realized, why can't I invest in this particular market? I'm going back and forth to visit my son here. Why not? That very in COVID, this is in the middle of, COVID is happening. And I thought, I'm going to go ahead and start calling brokers and meeting with them. And sure enough, the very first broker, he said, well, I've got a property you can underwrite and see if it works for you. That very first property worked. It all penciled out. By 3 months later, I had my first 72 unit apartment building.
Oh my goodness. That is, I think that I just want to dive into that, because like what you just said, it took you almost 3 years. Is that 3 years underwriting hundreds? I mean, I've underwritten not hundreds, maybe tens of them, 20, 30, and you're like, when am I ever going to find it? But like 3 years, a few hundred, that is such a testament. Number one, you took the time to invest, to learn, because there's a formula, right? There's a formula. And you were looking for that deal that would fit the formula so that you could find that breakthrough, right? That success that you were seeking, came rain or shine. So that was 3 years. And what a beautiful story, because now you can travel to see your, from a business perspective, you can travel to see your son. I'm sure if anything were to happen and you needed somebody to run real quick, you could probably just call them up and make it happen for you. So that's, hello, what a blessing there. And then you can write off all those trips to visit your son. Now that is a business write-off. So what a cool, I mean, that is definitely a gift when you position yourself, when you do the right thing, when you invest the time and that patience. Just it's really hard. That waiting season is the hardest, and that's when people give up the most. Um what would you say was the thing that kept you going? I mean, because yes, you were doing 28 flips, like that alone in itself is pretty amazing. Doing one flip here and there is a lot of work. I can't imagine 28, right? So I know you're probably really amazing at your systems and getting all that done. So that's a whole probably hour conversation. But in that waiting season, what was it? Like, tell me about that, because once you do it one time and you got that one deal, then it's easier to replicate. But getting the first, right? That first step, whether it's opening your first location, whether it's doing your first investment, your first partnership, like whatever, that first is, I think, at least for me and the people that I know, that first is the hardest. What did you do to get through those 3 years?
Have you read the book, 3 Feet from Gold?
No, I have not.
Oh my goodness. It talks about these miners that went in, they knew how to track granite lines,
Mm-hmm.
and they sold everything and invested in this mining equipment. And actually, it wasn't granite lines, it was oil. They were tracking oil. And what ended up happening is the oil line stopped, and they were drilling and drilling, and they kept drilling around it. And so eventually they ran out of money and they had to sell all of this equipment. Somebody else picked up the equipment and knew exactly about how lines jump. And it's been years since I read this story, but the whole point of it is somebody else came in and knew that they were 3 feet from striking it rich that would have changed their entire lives. But instead, they had to declare bankruptcy. Somebody else came in and knew exactly where to drill to pick up that line, and their lives changed. And I knew that it was just a matter of me staying in there, that I saw other people that were doing this, and I thought, okay, I'm anointed by God. Why shouldn't I have the same success that they're having?
Yes.
So I just thought I just have to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And if it means I'm wandering around in the desert, I pray, Lord, it won't take 40 years. But if it does, Lord, let me at least see the land of milk and honey.
Yes.
And so I just stayed in there, and I thought one day I'll get it. I'll figure it out.
Mm.
And I just can't give up. And so he saw me through that. And to your point, once you get the first deal, the others come along.
Mm-hmm.
And not that they've all been rosy, but it has been worthwhile. And it's changed our lives. My kids' lives, everything has changed as a result. So it's been such a blessing. And now I want to help and encourage other people to do the same.
Yes. So amazing. You are the testament of that Proverbs 31 woman, where we are builders and we're nurturers and we rise up early in the morning. And it is such a beauty to watch and know people and link arms, with real, like, flesh and blood. Like, I just want to hug you, because that, knowing your sweet spirit and your big heart, but also knowing, like, you are a beast. You are just, it's really, really amazing. And so you took that time and you said, all right, you found that. And then from there, how have you jumped and how have you continued to build? And, where do you see yourself going from here?
That's a great question, because when I was moving a couple years ago, my daughter came and she was looking at my vision board and she's like, wow, Mom, you've really achieved everything you have on your vision board. And I was like,
Mm,
wow, I had no idea. So yeah, fast forward to today, I'm now speaking on my mentor's platform
that's awesome.
on a fairly regular basis. He does these conferences every 3 to 6 months. So he's doing another one next week. I'm also the general partner now on 10 multifamily assets. And instead of me having to go out there and search out the deals are being brought to me. So
Mhm.
it's shifted, making it easier for me. And so now I'm a partner on other people's deals that they're putting
Mhm.
together.
Mhm.
I'm finding I never thought I would be in that place where I'm now a capital raiser, so to speak.
Mhm.
It's really important that I'm vetting out the team that I'm
Mhm.
joining. And I only have 2 teams right now that I'm working with. And while other people approach me, I'm not quite comfortable yet to, because it's my money, it's my friends and family's money. I want to make sure that first, it's in a great market. Second, the asset can perform in the way that we've kind of outlined it to do.
Mhm.
But I can't get those funds back in case the team can't perform.
Yeah.
The team has got to be so solid. And I've learned that firsthand because I'm in a deal right
Mhm.
now. You and I kind of bonded over
Mhm.
that. Fortunately, we didn't put the right loan on it. And I'm in the trenches literally every day doing property management,
Mhm.
um, just so we can save this asset. And while I think we can, your team is everything.
Yes.
And so when we talk about the future, um, I love what I do. I want to continue to add assets and bring great opportunities to my friends and family. Um, but I'm also preparing for grandmotherhood, whatever that looks like. And no pressure on my kids that are out there, but the flexibility to be able
Yeah.
to travel when I want, be
Mhm.
able to continue to develop and cultivate relationships with other investors, but just share how this is such a great vehicle for people to invest in and get some diversity in their portfolio that they may not have otherwise, that they may not even know exists.
Yes, yes. And I think sometimes, I mean, I remember when I think back to the startup investor, and by no means, am I to this place where I'm like, oh, I'm so, I know all the things. I think every deal is a little different and it depends, we're invested in different things. And so there's nuances to every investment. And it's really looking into that, if whether it requires a team, if you're partnering with someone, it is it's really all about the team, whether that's in the investment world, in your team that's running your projects, or who you're investing with, and or your employees, your contractors, your vendors. I mean, it is all about our teams and really just understanding the importance of building that. But I remember thinking back, like, okay, this is really scary. Am I doing the right thing? Right. Um, and it goes to show, like, you just have to take the first step. You have to trust, but you also have to do your homework and build that muscle, build the muscle, the experience, and understanding, okay, everything is a risk. However, I've checked all these boxes. Um, and I'm ready for the next one or the next thing. And I've learned, we've won some, we've learned some. I'm in a learning season right now too, and when in one of our investments. But I've been trusting. How have you really connected that faith piece when it comes to the real business decisions? Right, you're in the middle of something, and when you feel maybe overwhelmed or out of your league, how have you managed to merge your faith and your business?
So that's a great question. because I'm in the thick of it right now on one particular asset. And I keep trying to figure out, okay, Lord, what are you trying to teach me? Or maybe this, I'm not getting through it quickly enough because you're trying to teach other people that are on my team to rely on you, Lord. So maybe it's not about me at all. Maybe he is using this to bring other people to their knees. So this particular asset that I'm talking about, I actually left our mastermind the last time we were together, and I flew down there, and I could feel a spirit over this particular community, like strongholds over the community. And I started praying over that, thinking, okay, Lord, whatever spiritual strongholds or financial strongholds are over this community, I would pray that you would release them from this. And then bring us a tenant base that desires to have employment and, have a job, and they desire to pay their bills on time. Bring that to us, Lord. And then I got to thinking, and Lord, if you can use me as a vehicle to bring my teammates closer to you, or this experience closer to you, I pray that I will be patient in the storm, and that
The waiting.
in the waiting, and not try to rush that. But I'll tell you what, it's every day. I have to remind myself that, Lord, it's not about me, it's about you. And maybe my outcome, I'm praying that he's going to bring us a miracle and we're going to come out of this better than I projected. But if we don't, that his will be done through it all. And that it's not about me. And just to remind me that I'm in this journey with him. I'm just a vehicle with him. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it is. It's, I think for me, hearing you, because that's like the boots on the ground, right? Like, what does it actually look like? It's really easy to be like, oh my goodness, thank you, God. We, slam dunk. We just hit another home run. We just, but what happens and what do we do on the daily when there's a lot on the line? And just hearing you say that, it's really taking our ego out, and it be like, okay, this is rain or shine. I know my trust is in you, and help me to be a vehicle to others. Help me to remember that even on the hard day, how am I going to react? How am I going to have these conversations with my team, or my tenants, or whoever that may be that the challenge is with? It's really, really easy to say we trust God, but it's different when you're in the trenches. That's the reality. And what a testament again to your heart. It's really great to see.
One of the things you and I were talking about before we started recording this episode is I'm a control freak. And so it's really easy for me to say, okay, this isn't going like I planned. And so I start controlling everything. So just last week, I'm jumping in and I'm trying to control the narrative again. And I was reminded that I'm in a season of surrender. And if I can't fully surrender and I keep trying to take the reins, that I'm not really trusting him. So I am literally walking this out day by day. And so when you talk about what does it look like on a daily basis, I'm on my hands and knees every day. And Lord, just help me to trust you. Help me to see that you're in this and you haven't forgotten about me. And help me to, again, be a vehicle for you. I can't see you right now because every time I turn around, literally every time I open my email, there's some other bill that we didn't know about, or there's some other kind of issue that the lender has with everything that's going on. And it just is one obstacle after another every single day. And I just have to think, okay, Lord, But I can tell you, this is what I know. That 3 years
Mm.
of the trenches and all of those flips that I went through and all of those things prepared me for
Mm.
right now.
Mhm.
Because I can tell you, had I not walked through any of that, there is no way
Mm.
I was able to be where I'm at today and be able to
So
withstand
beautiful.
the pressure.
Mhm.
They say diamonds come from being under pressure. And so I'm like you. I believe the story on the other side is going to be so huge and so
Yes.
triumphant. It has to be, right? It
Yes,
just
I am believing that for you. And I'm laughing of joy and like in agreement, because I think that, like you said, I'm thankful for the 3 years. I'm thankful for the flips. I'm thankful for all the in between, for being in the mud, because it's prepared you for this situation. And you know what the beautiful thing, I'm just listening here and just knowing you, and the vision I get is, and this is only preparing you for the next, right? Like right now it seems overwhelming because I'm in a similar situation, but I had this meeting. I got on live last week and I left the meeting, and I'm not, it wasn't the solution to my problems. It wasn't the magic wand, or it wasn't like God just ascended and like, you know, gave me the solution I needed. It was a reminder, and it was like this hope that I had in one simple conversation that reminded me that it doesn't matter if I'm going to get the solution that I'm hoping for. He has my back in this detail, and he just wants to know, like, really where my heart is. And so I'm just believing that for you, just thinking like, oh my gosh, on the other side, just like all those other harder things that you thought were really hard and you wanted to maybe give up but didn't. The same thing, like if we just apply that, right? It's the layers of God's promises and his faithfulness, even when in our weakness or in our inability to see past the big mountain. I'm believing that for you so big, like just listening, like, oh my gosh, one day you're just going to be like, okay, I remember that one deal that we were having these issues with this asset. And now I understand why I had it, because you had, the next mountain, that next journey to navigate. And oh my gosh, I could talk about this forever, because this is like just it's down my alley. Like I just love this. And but for the sake of time, Jen, where can our listeners find you? And what's the last sip of tea that you want to leave us with?
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. I would say first, you can reach me on Instagram. I have a podcast called Mastering Money for Moms, and that's my handle out on Instagram. You can always find me on LinkedIn as well. I'm Jennifer Varner. You might also find my company is Lighthouse Ventures. And as far as a piece of advice, I would say don't give up on you. Just continue to know how special you are. God made you for a purpose, and it's your journey, and you have to figure out what it is. So keep getting up, keep putting aside those negative thoughts and realizing he created you for a purpose, and it's extra special. So it's up to you to figure it out.
So good. So good. Well, you are extra special. I am so thankful for having a seat at the table that day. And then now we get to text each other and check in on each other. And, thank you for your heart and for your time today. And can't wait for more to come and those big wins on the other side of this climb that we're on.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much for joining me on another episode. If you're struggling to find your flow in juggling all the things that go into building and scaling your dreams, while also being present for your family and finding time to take care of you, I want to invite you to join my free 21-day challenge, Tame the Chaos.
You'll get my tried and true time management workbook designed to help you become a master at organizing and prioritizing how you spend your time. Plus, I'm going to walk you through a daily exercise that will transform chaos into clarity and keep you on track to creating momentum towards your goals. I personally use this method myself, and it is a vital key to my success over the years. Please visit marthapachow.com/tamethechaos to register for the challenge now and get instant access to the workbook. And if you've enjoyed today's tea, make sure to follow, rate, and leave a review. Stay connected with us on social media at The Tea with Martha for updates and behind-the-scenes moments. Remember, every woman's story is a sip of inspiration, and together we're brewing success. This is Martha signing off. Cheers.